Hey, woodworkers. Alright, this is the big moment. Moment of truth, as they say. So, I have my toolbox, or my tool tote, dry fit. So I'm getting ready for gluing everything up. I have to do a dry assembly to make sure that everything is working accurately and there's no surprises the second I apply adhesive. So everything looks good. What I have done, which you haven't seen, is I'm making sure that this thing lines up accurately. I've checked the inside for square, both sides, that looks good. And everything generally goes together with a little bit of resistance. Ease is probably another word, but I do like the idea of having a little bit of pressure in some of the joints to make sure that as I'm squeezing this together, it's not just the glue that holds this thing together, but the glue locks in between the fibers of the wood, and that's really on both sides of the joint, and that's really what I need. Okay, so trick that I've done here before is I've taped off the areas that I know there's going to be squeeze out. I don't want to slop a bunch of water inside of here to clean that up. I definitely don't want to carve or scrape this thing out after the glue is dried, because that's going to start damaging the surface. And I know there's a lot of debate on that. I don't want to get into it, but for me, this is an easy way to protect your piece and an easy way to remove the adhesive when you're gluing up. The thing I want to note, which you might be able to see from where you're at, is I've backed off the tape on both sides a little bit, so I do see some wood on the side or the end of this piece, as well as where this handle comes in. If I don't see that, then my concern is that I'm putting tape too close to the corresponding surface, and that tape is going to get glued in, or it could possibly wrap under where the joint is and become a permanent fixture here, which is not good. Okay, so the other thing that I've done that on both ends, I haven't done that on the outside here because I have full access to getting in there and cleaning that out. So it would be a lot more work to tape this area off than it's worth. I'm going to clean this up when the glue is still wet. Some people prefer to do it later, both fine, but I don't want to spend the time to tape this off. The inside areas are really much trickier to get involved with. The other thing that I've done, which you can't see, is that I've put tape on the inside of these two parts, because when I glue in these sides, I want to make sure that the alignment is trued up as much as I can between the time it takes me to drop in the side and then start clamping in the ends. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of parts that kind of need to come together at the same time, so with every glue up. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that and be mindful about what I can do to avoid any problems in the future. What you can't see back there is on both pieces of tape here, I've drawn a little center line. So the center line doesn't have to be measured here, but it's an indication of location of this side piece to the bottom. So when I set this thing in, I can get it lined up laterally where I want it to go. And then when I'm gluing up the end pieces, once I clamp this together, this piece is not going to have to shift dramatically one way or the other, because I don't want that glue to start setting up with one of these sides pushed too far to my left or my right or both, because that'll interfere with the whole thing. Yeah, and that's that. So in preparation of the glue up, I'm obviously going to need some adhesive. So I'm just going to use a yellow glue or a white glue for something like this. If it were a more complicated glue up, maybe something with a longer open time would be wise. But for this is going to be easy enough with your 5 to 10 minute open time or working time with PVA glue. But I'll have glue ready. I've got clamps. For this glue up, I'm going to need 3 clamps minimum. That'll be 2 on the bottom and then 1 clamp closer to the top to draw this thing together. I have a 4th clamp just as an extra. You never know when you're going to need it, but here's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want to be in the middle of a glue up and then need to run over and grab clamps and come back. I want to have everything where I need it, when I need it. So I've got that. I will need my square after the glue's in to make sure to double check to make sure everything's where it needs to go. I'll have something for distributing the glue. So I've got one of these fancy silicone brush things, and then this little paddle, which I actually prefer using more to start getting adhesive where I need it. If you don't have one of these, I've also cut down a couple of these strips in a couple of different widths. This was just a wedged piece, so it's really thin. This end here I can get in and kind of distribute and get the adhesive where I need it to be. So I'll use that, and then that's kind of that. So I'm gonna have to pull this apart or disassemble it, and then I will start rolling the camera again once I'm applying adhesive. All right, see you in a minute.